I should have been 50 miles away by now, but my curiosity got the better of me, and now I can't leave. 3 days ago, I was about 6 hours into a 12-hour haul to Seattle when my car started acting up. It wasn't a dramatic engine explosion or a cinematic plume of smoke. It was just a rhythmic ticking under the hood and a sudden sluggish loss of power. I managed to coast the car off the highway and into Mapleton, a town that seemed to consist of a single main street, a lot of peeling paint, and a sky that felt too heavy for the horizon. The only mechanic in town, a guy named Miller who looked like he hadn't washed his coveralls since the 90s, took one look under the hood and mumbled, "Alternator's shot. Maybe the belt, too. Won't have the parts delivered until Tuesday." I sighed, rubbing the bridge of my nose. "Is there a motel?" "Valley Rest, 2 blocks down," he muttered. "They've got weekly rates. Not that you'll want to stay that long." I checked into the motel, a place that smelled of mothballs and damp wood, and figured I'd make the best of it. The next morning, I set out to find the only source of food in town. That was how I ended up at the Rusty Fork. It's the kind of diner where the air smells like burnt grease and regret. I sat at the counter, nursing a lukewarm coffee. My eyes drifted to the heavy brass clock mounted behind the counter. Its rhythmic metallic thud was the only thing cutting through the tension of the room. When the clock hands reached 8:02, the rhythm broke. A waitress fumbled a ceramic cup, sending it clattering onto the tile floor with a sharp, echoing crack. In about a minute, the bell above the door jingled. A middle-aged man in a faded red trucker hat walked in, his boots thumping rhythmically. He sat 3 stools down from me and ordered a black coffee and a side of dry toast. He didn't look at me, he didn't look at anyone. He just stared at the salt shaker like it held the secrets to the universe. The townsfolk here are a grumpy lot, I thought, putting him out of my mind. The second morning, I went back. I sat in the same spot, scrolling through my phone. At 8:02 a.m., Marge dropped the cup again. It didn't just look like the same accident. It was a frame-by-frame reenactment. The same trajectory, the same 3 shards of ceramic skittering toward the trash can. At 8:03 a.m., the bell jingled. Red Hat walked in. Same boots, same thump, same stool. My skin went cold. I looked at Marge as she cleaned up the mess. "Didn't you do that yesterday?" I asked, my voice sounding thin. She didn't blink. "Do what, sugar?" "The cup. You dropped it yesterday, at this exact time." She gave me a polite, vacant smile, the kind you give a crazy person, and walked away. I watched Red Hat. He was staring at that salt shaker again. I almost reached out to tap his shoulder, but a sudden, overwhelming sense of dread stopped my hand. It felt like the air around him was vibrating, humming with a low-frequency static that made my teeth ache. The third morning, my car was already waiting repaired, the engine humming with a health it hadn't possessed 2 days ago. I should have been miles down the highway by now, but I found myself back in the same vinyl booth. It wasn't curiosity, it was the unsettling feeling that I'd missed the punchline to a very dark joke. I needed to see if the pattern held, if the world here truly ran on a loop. This time I didn't sit down. I waited by the door, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. 8:02 a.m. Clack! The cup shattered. 8:03 a.m. The jingle. As Red Hat stepped through the door, I rapidly moved. I didn't just tap him, I blocked his path, planting my feet and grabbing his shoulders. I wanted to break the rhythm. I wanted to force the world to acknowledge me. I expected a collision. I expected to be shoved back by a man who looked like he spent his life hauling timber. Instead,
There was no resistance. My hands passed through his flannel shirt, then through his chest, then through his spine. It was like plunging my arms into a deep freezer. As our forms overlapped, the diner didn't just go quiet. The sound of the world died. And then he screamed. It wasn't a human sound. It was the sound of 1,000 radio stations playing white noise at once, a jagged digital shriek of pure agony. For a split second, I didn't see the diner. I saw the town as it really was, a blackened, scorched husk stuck in an endless cycle. Red Hat wasn't a man. He was a flickering silhouette of ash, held together by some invisible looping force. The scream was the friction of my living presence rubbing against his static reality. I was an error message in his perfect looping hell. I stumbled back, collapsing onto the sidewalk outside. When I looked through the diner window, everything was back to normal. Marge was smiling. Red Hat was sitting at his stool, staring at the salt. I ran for my car. I didn't pack. I didn't grab coffee to go. I just drove. But the odometer hasn't changed in 40 miles, and the sun has been hanging an inch above the horizon for what feels like 6 hours. I just passed the Welcome to Mapleton sign for the 4th time. I'm pulled over now, watching the rearview mirror, because I can see a figure in a red hat walking down the center of the highway towards me.
If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. You can also send your stories to the email in the description.